called the police on my grandmother Calabrese because she thought for sure my grandmother was dealing drugs.
Oh
and
my
we
God,
had a bet.
amazing.
Well, I know that's how Mel was raised, because when she comes to see me do comedy during Christmas time, she brings me pizzelles, homemade pizzelle.
I love it.
You bring me the S shape.
Yes, S cookies.
Yes, the S cookies, which are very Italian. They ice them, and they look like the letter S. And the homemade pizzelle, I would slap a bitch for those. So I'm at the comedy show. She comes to see me. I got Tupperware, and I'm eating my homemade cookies. Right at the car, said, I don't give a fuck if I'm going back on stage. Cindy was shoving that cookie. Yeah. That's when I know she's a true Italian, okay?
Yeah, I miss it. I miss being around Italians.
I know. It is great. And I when me and my ex-husband divorced, his family is so old school Italian. I mean, like I said, he's still my ex-husband is. But a lot of the holidays, I would always be like, why don't you go with your dad? Just because that tradition over there, I think, would mean more to them than being with our loudmouth, obnoxious family. But, being around the Italian, I wanted them to have that because that's what I grew up with. My grandparents had passed and everything. But, his family, they're different. Like, they call white people mayonnaise face. Like, they're the Italians that... Yeah. Mayonnaise face is what they call white people. His mother, it's tough when they came here from Italy. It was shocking being in America, and they were in a very small town in Sicily that's still backwards to this day. They still live very simple there. My kids just went to visit 3 years ago, and they said, Ma, that old country is just like Nana said. There ain't nothing there in that town they're from, still to this day. So for my in-laws, when they came here, this was a big shock for them. My ex-husband never been in a car till he went to the airport.
Wow.
He never even saw television till he got to America.
Wow.
So, but I think was important for them to, learn all that. So, I made sure that my ex-husband always had them for some of the, for holidays, we always took turns because I thought, them being around that was for me, it was very important. Like I say, our traditions of the Italian, like when my grandmother died, nobody really kept that tradition.
Oh, here's a question. And I know that not everybody, people are Catholic on this thing. So unfortunately, a friend of mine passed away. She was 75, a Sicilian.
Yeah.
And she was in hospice and stuff. And, the funny thing is, not really that funny, but it's funny. She would always get the last 4 years, she would get anxious and she probably always said this, oh, dear God, take me now. And I'd be like, oh my God, now you're gone. Okay. But here in California, so I'm going to the funeral mass on Thursday, and her son and I've known him for 20 years. Apparently they have a rosary celebration where they say the rosary over and over and over again. We never did that.
I've never seen that.
See, I know. So
we're not those kind of Italianos.
Catholic like ceremonies and burials where like the body is in the front of the church at the altar. They do the rosary like usually the night before the actual like mass and ceremony. Yeah, I've definitely.
But so my friend Chris and we had this debate for a while. His mom was still alive and stuff. She's like, no, you have to say the rosary like 25 times. And I'm thinking, what the hell? All my aunts and uncles, we never said the rosary. We have to undig them and like say the rosary. They probably went to hell,
You're in so much trouble, Mel. Those people.
I know, those people, and they went to hell. So now I have to go to this rosary thing. So I don't even know the rosary. I'm a bad Catholic.
The rosary, that should be optional. You like not necessarily.
I remember going to the confession, and then he would yell at me in the confession, and then he would tell me I had to go out there and do so many Hail Marys on my rosary.
10 active contritions, 10 Our Fathers.
Yeah, I remember.
Or else you do not get forgiven unless you say all those prayers.
Right.
And then my mom swears on praying. They say St. Anthony.
Well, my girlfriend does St. Anthony. I even call
you bury
her.
the statue in your yard. Oh, wait,
that's St. Joseph to sell your house.
Yes.
We did, Lauren. We did that.
Yeah.
When this house was listed, my girlfriend got a St. Joseph, and she buried him, and she read exactly the way he had to be facing. It was this whole thing. It didn't sell, but she still prays to St. Anthony when something's lost. And it's so bad. St. Anthony, something's lost and must be found. And she does the whole mantra. And it's so bad that I believe this shit. And if we lose something at work, I call my girlfriend at work. I'm like, honey, we've lost. Will you say a prayer for St. Anthony for us? And she's like, oh, yes. Yes, I will.
Well, my mom, Bernadette, has good karma, good connection with St. Anthony. Everything we lose, like my change purse, when I was a kid, or my wallet, or my virginity, that didn't work. She tried praying for that. But, Bernadette comes through. St. Anthony comes through. In fact, my mother has a little photo of not a picture, but a painting of St. Anthony, and she'll pray to that. And my niece one time was like, she lost her key, and she's like, call up Nana and have her talk to the man on the wall. And I'm like, what? Porn? What? But my niece, the only time it never worked is my niece, my teenage niece, now she's older, she lost her cell phone at a club. And, she wasn't supposed to be in the club. And my mother prayed and prayed to St. Anthony. And my sister said, God damn it, you're not supposed to be out. St. Anthony's not going to help you if you're out there, being wild. He's not going to give you your cell phone back.
St. Anthony ain't helping you, you whore.
I don't want to say whore. Thank you. You can say whore. But my mother swears on it every time.
Jen, you had none of this religious upbringing?
No, not terribly. My Oma was Catholic, but my parents weren't. My mom's Protestant or something.
Yeah, that's what my mom, but they didn't pray. They didn't.
Yeah, no.
It was the Germans, though. Yes, the Germans are Protestant.
Oh, that's right.
You are right about that, because
Catholic.
I think
my Oma was very Catholic.
Oh, she was?
That's my dad's mom.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what they are, Protestant or something. I don't know.
So you didn't. Mel, did you go to Catholic school too?
No, let me tell you this. I've always wanted to go to Catholic school. I never went. I was in public school. I'm a weirdo. I was like, I don't know, I had this little thing that it must have been so cool to wear the little dresses, and maybe
I still have my uniforms.
What's that?
I still have my uniform if you want me to mail it to you.
Oh, it won't.
Wait, Jen, you went to Catholic school?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
really?
The grade 12.
I had no idea. I got kicked out in 9th, so I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 9th, and then I got kicked out.
What did you get kicked out for? What didn't you get kicked out for?
It wasn't even your fault, was it?
It was because my father's jobs. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. It's probably a trauma.
No, there was no trauma. It was the happiest day of my life because I wanted to be at that city school with the hoodlums, okay? All of us hoodlums. So
you should have traded. I wanted to be in an all-girls school.
I was at an all-girls Catholic school.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it's my, I don't know. Maybe I'm a secret lesbian.
And I know you would have thought that. Yeah, you would have thought I would have wanted to stay at the all-girls school, but I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to get out of there. Yeah. So I did. I went for 9th, and then I got booted, and I did 10, 11, and 12 at the school right down the street from me. But the reason they sent me to the Catholic school was to keep me, because we didn't have I didn't grow up in a really great neighborhood, so it was better, better schools. But I was so dumb. There was no extra help, and it didn't matter. So I was like that, it wasn't working out for me either way. But I think that it produced a lot of good memories and stories. My days in Catholic school, bad stories and good. But can I just say really quick, you guys, what freaked me out the most was being a little kid and sitting in that pew and looking up at those Stations of the Cross. Like this was like a horror movie.
There was blood running down his hands. Like
very graphic.
Statues.
So looking back, like I had said to you guys before, when I went to the Vatican in Italy, I remember being like, oh my God, I'm so kind of glad I went to Catholic school because so much of this, was more. But when I was in the Vatican and I was looking around and I was like, really like, this was a lot for a little kid to look at growing up and looking at the Stations of the Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is anybody canceling that as being morbid?
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the woman was talking about they're not religious. Like, they haven't raised their kids go to public schools. So they've never had any sort of religious training or schooling or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the little girl, I think she's like 6 or 7. So they went to see the mother-in-law for Easter. She's very Catholic. And she's giving the mom and dad run to the store. While they're at the store, grandma gives this little 6-year-old the full rundown on like the end of Jesus's life and being resurrected and all that. They come home, kids hysterical, like, oh my God. They're like, what are you doing? They're like, she needs to know this. They're like, she needs to know this maybe at like a child level. Like, you can't just throw all this in her lap. That's a scary story for a little kid.
It is, and I sent my children to religion because what my goal was to have them finish their sacraments. They were baptized, and then the religion class. After we got divorced, my ex-husband didn't want to bring them on his weekend. You know what I mean? So it was like, we just ended up like, they have no religion. And it's actually my girlfriend went to Catholic school. Also, she has like her whole family is very religious, though not, we went because of my neighborhood. She went because they believed in the whole, the big picture. So we were all sitting at dinner, and it was, my 2 daughters, and my one daughter said, Mom, what's a sin? And they had to been, what, Dan, 12, 11? And Danielle was mortified. She's like, you're done. They don't even know what a sin is. I was like, oh, they have So they had nothing. They learned nothing. But I still stick to this. I think every school should teach religion, and that religion class should touch on every single religion. And I know a lot of parents would probably be mad, but I wish I knew more about Muslim religion. What is it? The Kabbalah? Is that how you say it? Right?
I took a
That's a different
the Quran.
Quran, yeah.
Quran. I wish I knew more about the Jewish religion. You know what I mean? I wish I would have, just the basics. I think that everyone should learn the basics.
I did a world religions class in high school, and that's what they did. And we did a field trip to like a mosque, and
that would have been awesome. They don't offer anything like that in our schools, unless you're Catholic and you just learn the one religion.
We had like a world history class in high school, and that was part of it. There was like the book had chapters on all of that.
Yeah.
Very quick, but yeah, like
we didn't have
perspective when you look at like the number of Jewish people and the number of like Muslim and like in relation to, as an American, you only know like this Christian religion, and it's so different everywhere. Like, you need to learn how to appreciate the difference.
I agree. And also, I mean, Ramadan started today because I have a couple of friends who practice, and I mean, for me, I was like, I have to ask them questions. I mean, that's, because I never researched this on my own anyway, but I would, was like, oh, I wish I would have, I would have liked to have had a rundown of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But
the cliff notes of religion.
Cliff notes on all the religions.
No, this is sort of on the same subject. I don't know if anybody, when I was in high school, I took a psychology class. It was like psychology in high school, right? Mm-hmm. The teacher had us do a field trip to the funeral home. And you could walk around, and they talk about death, and they talk about, then if you wanted to, everybody did it. They went downstairs and they can see the embalming thing. We didn't watch somebody be embalmed.
Oh, I was like that.
But you could see everything. You see the base, and they said if people want to go down there, and I was the only one. I would not go down there. I'm like, why do I want to see what happens to me, right?
Yeah, but you know what? That's Jen's dream job.
Oh, really? To embalm people?
No, she wants to run a funeral home.
I want to be a funeral director.
Really? Mm-hmm. Really?
how I learned this was I messaged her a job here and I was like, oh my God, I should do this. And it was like the person who helps you while you're upset, like sets everything up for you. She helps you pick out your coffin. I'm like, that would be such a socially nice thing for me to do. And then Jen's like, oh, I always wanted to be a funeral director.